Alright, so here we go. I've had people concerned about their cross-section, so I have a camera set up here, and I have my images set up, and I'm going to see how I can make a video here to talk about the cross-sections. I have a brief history of Virginia. I have a geologic bedrock map. I've shared all these images with you. I have a sequence of things. Notice this goes from 330 million years ago up to today. And over here I have 450 million years ago. I'm not quite sure which orientation this one goes in, so we'll look at this one in a little bit. And here I have the geologic time chart. So I wanted to go a billion years back for Connecticut, which was basically Virginia. And that was when the Grenville orogeny occurred, the Grenville mountain building event. But so I have a series of things here. It's still recording. Okay, the camera screen went off. So I want to pick a location here. So I'm going to give myself a location right in this area. So 10 miles, I'm going to give myself an area 10 miles right here. Okay, I have this stuff, which is the Pennsylvanian. I have some Cambrian rock, I have some Silurian Ordovician, and I have some Mississippi in here. So I have a series of a few different things. So I want to draw a cross section. Let's start with just a rectangle here. I'll draw myself a rectangle. And I will put this over on this side here is Cambrian. And I'm going to put this side over here as Silurian Ordovician. Now, it does have the rock types labeled in here and things like that, but I don't need to get too crazy with what I'm doing right here. If you look at the Long Island Research Project, one of the links I shared you, they have some images like this for Connecticut. And you'll see over time, I have the Iapetus Ocean, which was also involved with Connecticut, and I have Gondwana, which was Africa. You have the Assembly of Pangaea when they crush together. You have then when they start rifting apart, which also happened on Connecticut. And so all of this stuff also happened in Connecticut, just not in Connecticut. This is Virginia. So here is my basic cross-section idea from the Cambrian right here to the Silurian right there. And so the Cambrian is a time period. And if I go right into here, the Cambrian is right here. I have the Silurian, the Ordovician. So I know that that happened someplace in this range, and your charts do have some of these time frames arranged on them as well. So I have 500 million years ago out to 440 million years ago. So I can look at this one here, 500 million years ago to 440. So I'm in this range right here. So I have the Iapetus Ocean. I have the crushing together, but notice there was this volcanic stuff happening here as it started crushing together. So here's a volcano erupting, and then it crushed in here, so I know I have some igneous rock. They have the stuff labeled, and if you look at your map, stuff is labeled. This is sediment, gets crushed in there, and gets all squished in there together. So now let's look at this. I have the Blue Ridge rocks. I have this other section, which they're labeling as green, is the Valley Ridge. The Appalachian Plateau is over on this side. You have to remember, North America at some point had an ocean over it. So the Appalachian Plateau right there. And then you have the Piedmont. This was all stretched out as the stuff all pulled apart. So part of the rifting that occurred. So as Gondwana comes in here and starts slamming in here to the Iapetus, everything starts scraping up. Notice that orientation here. Everything's scraped up. So I'm pretty sure all of my stuff is going to end up in this orientation here, because it gets pushed in and then slid back out. Now, since I'm in this section, I know I can kind of look right over here as to what's happening. And you'll notice that there's this underlying part here. And again, if you look through your pictures, you'll see some of this stuff. I also know that as this occurred, I can look back in the history, and I can look at some of my maps. I can say, okay, well, here was my layers back then, or I know they got to here. I know they got to there. So I can figure out what they all are. So I know that my layers are in this orientation. I probably have some stuff underneath. So let me give myself a little more depth here. And I'm going to close this one off. And I'll add another one there. And I'll have this in like that. This is not going to be perfect. I know it's not going to be perfect. I know that these are mountains, so I'm going to go up because I have the Blue Ridge mountain range that happens in here. And then I come out to the Piedmont, which is basically plains area and the coastal plain that goes out, but I'm nowhere near that. So I'm only in the mountains. So I apologize. Let me erase that. I know I'm only in this section, which is mountainous, and so I start fairly mountainous, and I go up, and I have that, and I know I have some stuff here sticking out, and then I have some stuff there sticking out, I have some stuff here, okay, and I probably have some underlying bedrock down there. I know this was this shape because of everything getting squished together and pushed up on there. I know that this is going to be sandstone because of my map right there. It's the Pennsylvania sandstone. There's also going to be shale and coal down in here. So there's probably some shale and coal as they go underneath. Coal's going to be found down into the ground and took some time to form. The sandstone is sedimentary. The shale and the coal form from this stuff over time, being metamorphic. Now I have this next band in here. I probably should throw another little stripe in here because I have a narrow little band of something else, which is the Mississippian, which is again going to be the sandstone and some shale and some coal here. So I'm actually going to erase that line since it says shale and coal. And so I know I have my layers. Now I'm going to step into the Cambrian. Let's put a layer in here of the Cambrian, and we know the Cambrian is limestone. Well, limestone, again, is forming because of that Appalachian Plateau, that ocean that used to be over top, and you can actually see it over here, that there used to be some ocean in this area. So I'm just trying to assemble my stuff and my layers and give it a shape based on what my bedrock map shows. And I'm going to come over here to my Silurian Ordovician. And again, I have dolomite. And I have some sandstone and some quartz. So the quartz is probably going to be down lower because that had to be compressed. And then I have my sandstone over here. So this might not be perfect. Pretty sure it's not completely right. But I know I've laid this out approximately where I want it to be in this area. I know 10 miles is going to be about that big. And I've laid this out across here. I've put my sections in. I know based on some of my images that the shape of it forms this because of the crushing in of this stuff. I know my timelines, so I can start laying out the timelines as well, which are also listed on this map. So if you look at all the data you have, you can lay out a cross-section, and then you can go through and color it and give yourself some various shading and shapes and try and give yourself some more information here. So I know I can do this, and let's put another color down below it. So I can fill this stuff in, I can make it colorful, which I would appreciate. I'd also really like, if you take your camera, that you actually line up the camera nicely to get a nice colored picture of it, and use proper lighting. That should be enough for now. Hopefully that helps. Thank you, bye.